So to take a look at that in action, let's take a look at an operational dashboard. So what you see here is a set of factories across the globe, and I'm going to open one of them up. So these are all the different machines on this factory floor. Now, each one of these machines has its own unique telemetry that it's sending to the cloud, its own unique RPMs and power consumption and vibration, and all of that telemetry was used to create those machine learning modules that are fine-tuned to predict the maintenance needs for each one of these machines and to shut them down in the case of a pending failure. So if I go over to the Azure tab here, I can see all of the different logic that Sandvik has developed for these machines. And the first three are for the metal cutting machine that you saw when I came out. With this new capability that we've developed called Azure IoT Edge and this capability in the cloud, we can now simply take that logic and export it. And they get packaged up into portable Docker containers. And now when I go back to the factory floor, I get an alert on the machine that I just exported that there's new software available for it. So if I open this up, I see the operational dashboard for this machine. And it's got all sorts of interesting information, temperature, power consumption. But there's a really important one I want to draw your attention to, and that's up in the upper right-hand corner, the emergency response time. And what that is how long it takes for telemetry coming from these devices to be sent to the cloud, evaluated, and in the case of an emergency shutdown, for a signal to be sent back down to the device. Right now, that's a little over 2 seconds, and with Azure IoT Edge, we can do dramatically better. So these packages that I exported are now available. I'm going to open them up and select them. Now, I've already coordinated ahead of time with the IT and OT teams so that I know that it's safe to update these machines. And when I click deploy, what's going to happen is we're going to network these containers down to the machine, we're going to activate them, and they're going to start running that protection code right on the machine. And you're going to see the emergency response time drop dramatically. The reason why is that that logic is now running locally, so there's no cloud loop involved in it anymore. So I go ahead and click deploy. It's now downloading, installing, and running. And now you see we just dropped down to a little over 100 milliseconds. It's a 20x improvement. And now Sandvik Coremount doesn't have to duplicate their logic in the cloud and on a device to protect these million-dollar machines. This is the power of Azure IoT Edge, and it's the power of an intelligent cloud working in harmony with an intelligent edge. Thank you very much.
And so as you see the experience as well as data and AI getting distributed, there needs to be a fundamental change in the inner and the outer loop of what we as developers do. Continuous integration, continuous deployment is going to change, and that's where things like microservices, containers are playing a massive role in the outer loop. But one of the things that's, I think, going to completely change how we think about logic is serverless. In a world where things get more distributed, event-driven, you want to be able to write logic that reacts to these events, is not static. That means you don't have a piece of logic just being bound and running on one virtual machine in one location, but it's something that can actually be mobile. I mean, think about even these AI models. One of the big challenges is going to be model drift. So you want to be able to tackle that. So serverless computation is going to fundamentally not only change the economics of what is back-end computing, but it's going to be the core of the future of distributed computing. So this application paradigm shift of intelligent cloud and intelligent edge is going to be pervasively changing everything we do inside of Windows, inside of Office 365, inside of Azure. And the rest of what you will hear about in the next 3 days is about unpacking this. So what I think the best way to perhaps get into this would be to actually start seeing this in action. The first demo we want to show you is from a company, Sandvik, which is a Swedish industrial automation company, 150 years old, 43,000 people in the company. They build industrial automation, these industrial metal cutting machinery that does high precision work. They built a cloud application to be able to take all of the data from their machines, do predictions, preventive maintenance. And they realized that, in fact, they started using the time series capability. So that means you were able to see the anomalies as they happen. But with time series, the cool thing is that you can, in fact, go back and see what is the causal effect or what is the causation of the anomaly. And so once you start seeing that, then they said, well, we should be able to make these decisions on when to shut the machine before it does any damage without having latency and bandwidth issues and so on. So they said, well, we need to distribute the logic that they've written in the cloud to the edge itself. And that's where they wrote Azure Functions. That's where the logic was written. And then they containerized it in Docker and moved it to the edge so that they could take those inference decisions and make them so much more faster. And to show you this demo, I wanted to invite up on stage Sam George from our IoT team to sort of illustrate how this intelligent cloud and intelligent edge is already working at Sandvik. Sam?